Hello and welcome. This is Christophe Clermont with another Printess tutorial on the topic templates and documents. So this is meant to be a beginner tutorial, so I will tell you about the ability of Printess to have multiple documents in a template. So actually when you create a new template like I did here and I inserted two text frames, you basically have a template with one document and you have pages, and of course you can add multiple pages to it, which is pretty normal, like you used from layout tools. But in Printess you also have the plus on the top left right side here in the document bar. This is the area where we want to talk about right now. And there you can add additional documents. Before I do that, let me talk about this first document. What does it mean and what does it do? So in the case here, we have two frames which should be editable on the buyer side. So I turn this on and we have the little one here which indicates that this is a primary document. The primary document is always visible on the buyer side. So when I click over here, I can actually go to that document. I can edit the frames. I can click add to basket, and since I'm logged in as a designer in Printess, I also have the ability here in the print dialog to render production files, which actually gives me this primary document as a PDF. So that's all, because we have only a single document and it's a primary document. It will be shown to the user, it will be printed. Let me add another document. So this second document now, it has a different format, a different size, extremely handy. Let's say, for example, you have a cover of a photo book and the inside pages, and they have different dimensions, like a letter and an envelope. So we have now the first document and the second document, and we also make the text editable here. But what happens if I switch to the buyer side? Here, I still see only my first document. There is no second document visible. That's because only the first document, the primary document, is visible to the buyer by default. If I want to make the second document also visible, I need to click on the little arrow here or right click with my mouse, and I got this context menu for documents, which has really a load of options, which gives you all the possibilities that you have with multiple documents. So first entry here is editable. So when I click on this, I see that the editable icon appears here. And if I now go to the buyer side, I have one document and I have another document, and I can change them both. But what happens if I try to print them? I will still get only one document, which is the primary document. So the second document, not by default, will be printed. That's something you need to tell Printess. So let's tell it that we want to print that. So we click on production, so it shows the little printer icon here. So this document is now printed. So let's do it again. Add to basket, render production files. And now, voila, we got the second document. But wait, something is missing here. The first document has simply disappeared, which is a pity. And this is the reason why I show you, because that's not really obvious. But if you once have one document explicitly set to production, then that overrules the primary document logic. So you now need to set the primary document to production as well to get two output documents. So again, let me add to basket, render production files, and now we should see two documents. So two new tabs opening here, and you see two documents rendered as PDFs. That's very important to know. Once you extend the range of editable documents, you might need to also just tell them what they are for. So let me talk about another interesting thing you can do with multiple documents. And this is previews. So let me say I want to the user should design a box and I want to preview that. So let me create a new document preview. Let's put this to square as well. And now I have already uploaded an image, which I put on this document and make it slightly bigger here. And now I can go to the tools here and do something very interesting. I click on the tools. So I don't have any frame selected. I click on the tools, which means with any of these tools like text, images, shapes, I can insert new items. And I think every one of you is familiar with images, text, and shapes, but subdocuments, this is something new. A subdocument means the ability to place one document in Printess on another document. It's like of a kind of a live copy of this document, and it's super handy. So let me click on the first document here, which means I get a frame, and this frame now is as I mentioned, it's a live copy of the other document. So if I go to the document and just move the things around, I go to the preview, it moves around as well. So it always reflects what the user or the buyer or the designer does on the first document, which is placed here. But what's even more interesting is that I can also use effects. So all the effects and warps I can use on subdocuments. So if I turn on perspective, for example, and I make this more like fitting on the box here, it will give me a nice preview of this document. And now what we can do as well is we can set this preview also, we can tell Printess it's a preview by selecting the preview option. If I am now going to add to the buyer side here, change the text and click on the new button preview, which just appears because we set one document to preview. That makes the user interface to show this button. So now we will see this document here, and again we can press add to basket and we render the production files. We got second as well like before, and we got this new production file, but we also have a beautiful preview. So let me just remove the second thing here because we don't need it for that scenario. But there are more things you can do. So let's say, for example, you want to print the things different than you show it to the user. So you can actually add another document here, and let's call it print. And on the print document, by the way, you can just drag and drop the things on an empty page here. Just put a couple of them on here, maybe one big, one small, so we can make all the same size, kind of a mini imposition, or for t-shirts, whatever. Wherever you need to have print different from what you show the user, this could be extremely helpful. Because now you can set this to production and actually remove the production flag here on the primary document. So this will be our only print document. So we have one document to edit, one to preview, and one to print. So let's check it out. Edit this document, preview it, add to basket, and go for the production file. So we have actually that as a print file. So I hope you get the point. This is super versatile since you can actually define all the different ways how a document is produced, how a document is shown to the user in separate documents and separate setups. And it goes even beyond that. Because sometimes you have, let's say, two layouts and you want the user to choose from one of the layout. And it's not like this photo product where you use layout snippets or stickers or the other awesome technologies. It's like, let's say, two fixed layouts. And I will simulate this here by duplicating this and call it version 2. Let me make it a capital V, so it looks nicer. And we also take this document and we rename it to version 1. So we got now two documents. And both of them should be editable. And the second one, yeah, I think it's a little bit more crazy. So we can maybe add some effects in here and maybe rotate this thing a little wild, and just for the sake of that we can differentiate the both documents. So we got version 1 and version 2. So let's say we want the user to decide which version they actually go for. So what we can do is we can create a form field. So we go to the form field tab here, we create the plus, and we create a form field called version. And this form field, we now go to properties and we create a select list. So the user interface type we set to select list, which allows us to add values to the list. And the other value we call version 2. So we have a form field now with a selection of two versions. So now we need to connect this to our document here. And this is pretty simple because when you click on the document, which is editable, and you click on the buyer side here. So no frame selected, just nothing selected, because then you see always the document properties. And then you scroll down, you find the button Edit Condition. And this Edit Condition button, not so easy to find, but very powerful, gives you the rule editor here. And in that case, all is already set up, because we got form.version equals version 1, or could be version 2. But in that case, it's version 1, so it's fine. So we do the same thing for the second document, but in that case, we say form.version equals version 2. So when we go now to the buyer side here, we can simply select between version 1 and version 2. And this is, by the way, the simple configuration interface. You always can switch between configuration product and creative photo product. If I do so, everything looks the same, but on the other side, and we get the tab navigation bar here. So we got version 2 and version 1. Let me just turn off the print ability for the print document for a second to show you something else. But I want to print this one and I want to print this one. So we got this document editable, printable, this one as well. The other one doesn't matter right now. So when I go to the configuration, select version 2, add to basket and render production files, then I get automatically also the print of version 2. So this visibility is not only for the buyer, but it also is for the print and the output. So extremely handy. But let's say now that we don't want to print this. We want to print our special version with the two copies on one spread. So what we can do is we can simply go ahead and just duplicate the print document. So let's say it's print 2 and let's rename this one to print 1. So we got 2 print documents and 2 versions to select from. So we set both of them to production, sure. And so we only have 2 documents now which are set to production. The first ones are not. And now we go to print again, edit condition from version equals version 1, which is fine. And now we get to print 2, edit condition from version equals version 2. So the only remaining thing is we have to change the actual layout of print 2 from the subdocument we're displaying here to simply go and select version 2 and also here select version 2. We're done now. And if we go to the buyer side, we can, of course, in settings, select version 2. And we can also type something here. And then if we add to basket and render the production files, we will automatically see that we get the right print document outputted here. Of course, we could do the same thing now with the preview document, because we can copy it, preview 1, preview 2, and have that. But to show you another technique, I will use form field and styles now. So what I will do is I want to actually toggle these document which is placed on the box depending directly on the form field value, which I can do by using a style. So there's a lot of interesting things about styles. You know that there's a style wizard here, which gives you a lot of presets to play around with, to learn about styles. But for the tutorial, I will do everything from scratch. So I click on the plus and I create a style, call it version. And in the style, I tell Printess to use a subdocument property. And the subdocument property I'm looking for is document name, because this is what we actually want to change. We want to change document name either to version 1 or version 2, which kind of by accident already is in our form field. So we go here, select form field instead of fixed value, and then we select the form field. The last thing we have to do is we need to select the frame, and then we assign this style to this frame, which actually gives us also the display of the style here in the frame, which you, by the way, can toggle with show styles or pressing the S key whenever you like to see the styles or don't like to see the styles. So now this form field is connected to a frame via a style. So when I go to the form field and go to version 2, it actually changed the preview here. And of course, this will also work in the BIOS side. Going to version 2, clicking on preview gives us this one. Going to version 1, clicking on preview gives us this one. And in the output, of course, also reflects the version selector. So I hope this gave you a small overview about the immense capabilities you have working with multiple documents. I hope I could inspire you and help you, and would be happy if you do awesome things with Printess. Thanks very much for listening, and see you next time.